Everyone, and welcome to the regular council evening meeting of August the 9th. The meeting is being recorded live and is streaming. All representations to council, written or verbal, will form part of the public record and be available to the public for viewing electronically or as a written record. Members of the public may access the meeting or participate in the following ways. Watch the meeting live or recorded on the District of Summerland YouTube's channel. Request to speak during the meeting if you have not registered in advance but wish to speak during the public comment opportunities. You may connect to the meeting by calling the meeting conference line at 778-907-2071 and entering meeting ID 506-489-9374 and passcode 485186. After I have provided everybody who has pre-registered with an opportunity to comment, the floor will be open to those on the conference line. Deputy Corporate Officer, are there any late items to introduce?
There are no late items.
Thank you. I'll call for approval of the agenda, please. Councillor Van Elfen, Councillor Patton, all in favor? And adoption of the minutes from the public hearing and regular evening meeting of July the 12th. Councillor Van Elfen, Councillor Patton, all in favor? Great, thank you. On to my mayor's report. To begin, I am so grateful for the rain on the weekend. Not only was it good for local crops, but it reduced the fire activity and the local smoke. For the first time in several weeks, I hiked the Giant's Head Grind yesterday and was thrilled to see dozens and dozens of people doing the same. This municipal mountain park is such a treasure for our community, for residents and visitors alike. As noted in the August newsletter, the district is co-hosting a grassland and weed walk on the mountain on August the 25th. You can contact Aquatic Center staff for more information or to register for this free event. On July 15th, Councillor Holmes, CAO Stat, and I attended the Summerland Community Arts Council banner reveal reception. Attendees had the opportunity to hear from the 5 artists who created the 5 juried selections on how their artwork reflected the 2021 theme of diversity and inclusion. These banners join the 2019 pieces and are now installed on lamp standards in the downtown and lower town areas. I took part in a modernizing forest policy virtual engagement session with provincial ministerial staff on July the 20th. As noted in the paper released in June of this year, the forestry industry is important for a strong economy and a good quality of life for over 50,000 British Columbians. This session was specifically for heads of local government and is one of many being held over the next many months. July the 21st, I attended the Southern Interior Local Government Association, SILGA, Executive Board meeting. The planning for next spring convention in person in Salmon Arm is well underway, as is a 3-part fall speaker series for SILGA members. So you'll be hearing about that relatively soon. On July the 27th, I attended the launch of Summerland's expanded electric vehicle charging network along with Councillors Carlson, Barkwill, and Holmes. This brings the number of EV charges, both level 2 and level 3, to 25 and adds to Summerland's reputation of being a leader on taking action on climate change. Attendees had the opportunity to explore several electric vehicles on site and speak to members of the district's Climate Action Committee. Thank you to staff and committee members for this successful public event. More information on electric vehicles, including stories from local EV drivers and details about the district's charging network, is available at summerland.ca/EV charging. July the 28th, I participated in the first meeting of the Watershed Security Sustainable Funding Working Group. Following on the BC government's fall 2020 announcement to create a watershed security fund, I was invited to contribute the perspective of local government. Other members represent a broad cross-section of other water interests. The working group is tasked by the province to provide options on a number of aspects of the fund. Last Thursday, August the 5th, Interior Health held another Mayor's Vaccine Roundup session. Discussion included the increased restrictions in the central Okanagan, IH's work to address wildfire evacuation orders for long-term residents and patients, and the rise in COVID-19 case counts in the Interior Health region. The next meeting is scheduled for August 19th. Also on August the 5th, as Vice President, I attended a BC Economic Recovery Plan engagement session on behalf of the President of SILGA. Minister of Jobs, Economic Recovery and Innovation, Ravi Kahlon, is holding dozens of virtual sessions to hear from key interest groups on what global trends we are seeing, as well as where we see opportunities to create good-paying jobs, strengthen the economy, and increase our competitiveness in international markets. And both these sessions, well, not these sessions, but public input is welcomed for both the BC Economic Recovery Plan and the modernizing forest policy. You can do that through the district, or sorry, through the government of BC. The Riga Arts Festival, just to remind you, the Riga Arts Festival opens this Saturday with a local musician and his group at Lunescence Winery, and Councillor Carlson is going to be speaking on behalf of the district in opening that event. Just this afternoon, we got an IH update of a public invitation to join a COVID-19 telephone town hall. It's for anybody that lives in the Interior Health region. It's August the 11th, so that's Wednesday at 7 p.m. There's more information on the Interior Health homepage, and I'm hoping that soon it will be up on our Summerland, on our homepage as well. And that's it. Thank you. On to the CAO report.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm pleased to inform Council that the Hunters Hill development has achieved substantial completion of the Phase 1 portion of development, which allows occupancy to take place in the homes that are ready for that purpose. There are 26 regular family lots in Phase 1 of the project. Regarding Phase 2, substantial earthworks have been completed with a rough grading target completion date at the end of August. Detailed design for the utilities and roadworks have been submitted, and district staff are reviewing presently. There are 31 single-family lots proposed in Phase 2 with a mixture of walkout rancher and walkout lot types, all with incredible views of Summerland and many of the lake. Lot sizes are generous in keeping with the semi and rural urban character of the adjacent areas. Phase 3 is already starting to take shape as the fill for that site is coming in large part from the earthworks being completed in Phase 2. Last week we had a power outage, and that affected 850 customers residing in Summerland. It was from a passenger vehicle hitting a power pole. And I just want to say I'm proud of the quick response of our electrical, fire, water, works, and IT teams that saw the restoration of the power to customers very quickly. It was a big team effort to get the power back on for all residents quickly and to keep the community informed about this issue. The request for proposals for the construction of the solar and battery project has been posted with a closing date of September 7th. We are excited about moving into the next stage of the project, which will see steps taken to prepare the site and ultimately construct the solar facility that will have the capability of powering 100 homes. Council also received a presentation this afternoon on the Eco Village concept in the immediate vicinity of the solar project, which staff have been exploring with area property owners, recreational groups, and the Penticton Indian Band. Due diligence is being performed on environmental and other planning considerations for both sites to ensure we maintain the district's high standards for development in these areas. Our water storage levels continue to drop at a typical rate, and things are looking good with no immediate concerns. The district's decisive action to move to stage 2 water restrictions early in this summer season has also helped the demand side of the equation, with the water treatment plant operating at below 60 megaliters per day over the last few days, and lower flows are expected. This is well within defined operating parameters for this facility. The Garnet Reservoir is also in good shape currently as well, both in terms of volume of water and algae. The Eisentalk Reservoir has been almost completely drawn down now and will no longer be contributing to the Trout Creek flow next week to allow for the planned install of the water outlet pipe. As noted in our most recent newsletter, the Aquatic and Fitness Center will be in shutdown mode from August 28th to September 12th, reopening on the 13th of September. The reason for the shutdown each year around this time is to conduct needed maintenance. During this time, the center is not providing its regular services. More information will be forthcoming on the district website and Facebook for residents who regularly use the service offerings at these facilities. And that's my report. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Corporate Officer, Deputy Corporate Officer, do we have anyone on the line for public comment?
Madam Mayor, there are 4 people on the line, but I believe they're all associated with upcoming development related reports.
Okay, thank you. So we'll move on to the first of the development reports, 9.1 Development Variance Permit for 8215 Giants Head Road, DVP 21-019.
Good evening, Council. So the district has received an application for variance at 8215 Giants Head Road. The proposal seeks to vary the maximum allowable coverage for accessory buildings and structures in order to facilitate the development of a 2-story single-family home, detached garage and carport, workshop, studio, and a small sauna building. In the OCP, the future land use designation of the subject property is rural residential, and it is zoned as CR1 country residential. These land uses are for the most part consistent with neighboring properties. It should be noted that the property is located within the agricultural land reserve. No approval is required. However, a referral was submitted to the Agricultural Land Commission and the Ministry of Agriculture. A letter of correspondence was received from the ALC. Staff noted that they understand that the increase in the accessory building lot coverage from 46 square meters is fairly conservative, and as such, they did not object to the issuance of the variance. A letter of correspondence was also received from the Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Fisheries. Their staff noted that if the proposed studio and sauna would be for personal use of the owners, not for agricultural, their interests are unaffected. They also recommended that the applicants maintain a vegetative buffer to mitigate against potential disturbances from the neighboring farm. As the subject property is not connected to municipal sanitary sewer, a referral was sent to Interior Health. A letter of correspondence was received from Interior Health. Interior Health staff noted that they do not support the issuance of the variance due to the following land constraints: small parcel size, large portion of the property is greater than 30% slope, the limited area of undisturbed soil available for sewage systems. District staff do acknowledge these concerns. However, a septic system approval by a registered on-site wastewater practitioner will be required prior to any building permit that is issued. If no such system can be approved, no development will occur. Within the CR1 country residential zone, the total allowable lot coverage is calculated at 20% of net lot area. Net lot area means the total area of the lot, excluding any area that exceeds 30% in slope or has been protected as an environmentally sensitive area by a Section 219 covenant or a development permit. As a result, a large portion of the property is over 30% slope, 836 square meters to be exact, must be excluded from the lot coverage calculations, which is quite a disadvantage to the property. The total allowable lot coverage within, just started the same. The total allowable lot coverage within the CR1 zone for this particular property is 20% of the net lot area, which works out to 260.5 square meters. The total proposed lot coverage for all buildings and structures on the property is 227 square meters, which meets the bylaw standard for total lot coverage. The proposed development is therefore compliant with the general lot coverage limit. However, accessory buildings are further restricted to a maximum of 25% of the allowable lot coverage of the site, or 75 square meters, whichever is greater. In this case, the total proposed coverage for accessory buildings on the site is 117.55 square meters, which exceeds the bylaw allowance of 75 square meters by a total of 42.55 square meters, which represents an increase to accessory building lot coverage of an additional 56.7%. Generally, the purposes of restricting lot coverage is to establish building massing and limit impermeable surfaces on a lot to accommodate stormwater infiltration. The proposed lot layout leaves adequate area on site to allow for this infiltration to occur without concern. Though the proposal is not in compliance with the accessory building lot coverage provision, it does comply with all other zoning regulations, including being under the total allowable lot coverage for all buildings. Further, if the proposed studio and dwelling were attached, then the proposal would fully meet zoning and not require a variance for construction. Based on these factors, and due to the proposal's limited impact on overall neighborhood character and groundwater infiltration, staff are supportive of the variance. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Staff, do you have questions? I mean, not staff. Council, do you have questions of staff? I just have one question. Is it proposed that the septic, like there already is a septic system there, it will be in the same place?
Yeah, so through the chair, I believe that is the plan. They will be fully redoing their septic system for this development. And then I would assume they will choose the same location. That's the location that has been shown at this time on the site plan.
Okay, good, thank you. Could I have someone bring forward the staff recommendation or something else if you choose? Councillor Holmes.
I'll move the staff recommendation that council authorizes issuance of a development variance permit DVP 21-019 for the property located at 8215 Giants Head Road, and that a variance to the following sections of zoning bylaw 2000-450 be granted. Accessory building lot coverage section 917B2 to vary the maximum lot coverage for accessory buildings and structures from 75 square meters to the 117.59 square meters proposed.
Thank you. Councillor Van Elfen is seconding. Any further discussion? Councillor Barkwell.
I'd just like to note that I like staff's approach on the septic field, not to be bound or hamstrung by very specific arbitrary lot sizes, and to go with what a proper design will work or won't work. And there could be lots that have sufficient size that are on solid rock where it wouldn't work, but and other smaller lots where they will, such as this, we assume, but there's someone who will do the testing and design the appropriate system, and we can maybe develop some of these spots in Summerland.
Any further discussion? All in favor? And I don't see any opposed. Thank you. On to 9.2, development variance permit for 14318 Prairie Valley Road, DVP 21-020.
Yeah. So the district has received an application for variance at 14318 Prairie Valley Road. This proposal seeks to vary the minimum required side interior setback in order to bring an existing building into conformance and allow a small addition at the rear of the property. In the OCP, the future land use designation of the subject property is agricultural, and it is zoned A1 agricultural large acreage. These land uses are consistent with neighboring properties. It should be noted that the property is located within the agricultural land reserve. No approval is required. However, a referral was submitted to the Agricultural Land Commission and a response was received. They noted that the addition, that as long as the addition would not expand the residence beyond 500 square meters, that the ALC had no objection to the issuance of the variance. The subject property is a residential lot in Summerland's Prairie Valley. The property owner is proposing to construct a small addition to an existing dwelling. The proposed addition will see an existing covered deck area be enclosed as well as have its roof replaced. The total area of the proposed addition is just 31 square meters. The existing dwelling does not fully conform to current zoning bylaw yard setback requirements specified for the A1 zone. When an addition is proposed to a non-conforming structure, the non-conformance must first be addressed before the development can proceed, and the building permit can be issued. As such, in order to facilitate the proposed addition, a variance has been requested to section 8.1.6A3 of the zoning bylaw to reduce the required interior side setback from 4 meters to 0.45 meters to bring the dwelling into conformance. While reducing setbacks on residential properties is seldom encouraged because it can disrupt from the form and character of a neighborhood, the variance proposed is not anticipated to negatively impact the streetscape. The house has been encroaching into the setback since it was built in 1987. The proposed small addition will not further encroach into this required setback. When new development occurs to a non-conforming property, it is an opportune time to bring the property into conformance with the zoning bylaw through the approval of a variance. As such, staff recommend approval of the proposed side interior setback variance.
Thank you, Alex. Any questions of staff? I just have one. I didn't see any correspondence related to this item. Can you confirm that, Dallas?
There were no written submissions received for this variance.
Thank you. Okay, Councillor Van Elfen.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just question through the staff. Correct me if I'm wrong. So it's AL, it's agriculturally zoned. We don't have to confer or to engage the ALC on this?
So through the chair, we sent a referral to the Agricultural Land Commission, but no, it didn't require any approvals like non-adherent residential or anything like that from them at this time.
So can I ask why then we do so if we're not necessarily required to?
Yeah, so through the chair, often it's just an opportunity to get comment because we are proposing a variance to our bylaw that could have impacts to their interests. So oftentimes it's more of a better safe than sorry type of thing, and sometimes good recommendations come out of it. So yeah.
Anyone else? Someone like to bring forward the resolution, please? Councillor Van Elfen.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. That council authorize assurance of development variance permit DVP 21-020 for property located at 14318 Prairie Valley Road, legally described as Lot 1, District Lot 508 of Soyuz Division Yale District Plan KAP 44117, and that a variance to the following section of zoning bylaw 2000-450 be granted. Side interior setback sections 8.1.6A3 to vary the minimum side interior setback from 4 meters to 0.45 meters proposed.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Holmes. And further discussion? Call the question. All in favor? Any opposed? Carries. This next one is for Joanne. Development permit 10519 and 10701 Elliott Street, DP 21-005.
Right. Thank you, Madam Mayor. So we received an application for a multiple family development permit at 10519 and 10701 Elliott Street. So the multiple family development permit area applies to all sites with multiple family residential uses, and the objective is to ensure such developments are attractive and compatible with their surroundings. The subject properties are located on the periphery of downtown and are designated as medium density residential in the official community plan and zoned residential medium density, which is RMD. There are 2 legal parcels currently with a combined area of approximately 2,234 square meters. Each currently contains a single detached dwelling. However, Elliott Street is a transitional street based on the zoning designations for the majority of parcels in that area, which are designated as RMD. So this development will be the second townhouse development along this side of Elliott Street. The applicant is proposing to remove the interior lot line between the 2 properties to consolidate into one lot to facilitate the construction of a 12-unit townhouse development. The proposed development is comprised of 4 buildings, 3 townhouse units in each that are accessed from a shared central driveway. The development permit evaluates the proposed site design, building design, parking and access, and landscaping for this property. So this item was referred to the Advisory Planning Commission. They reviewed this application on June 25th and provided several comments. In response to the APC's comments, the applicant has provided 2 additional visitor parking stalls for a total of 4 parking stalls in response to APC comments that there was too few visitor stalls available on site. And the building plans were also slightly adjusted so that the living room windows were offset to provide more privacy to residents based on the comments from APC members. There were additional comments from the APC about location of the garbage and recycling at the rear of the property. However, that location for bin rollout is seen to be preferred to closer to the front of the parcel, which would not enhance the streetscape and would block the drive aisle during pickup day. The APC ultimately recommended that council approve the development permit. And just going into discussion about some of the key items about the site design. So the proposal is for 4 separate buildings, and 2 of those buildings do face Elliott Street. The narrow width of those building frontages, along with the sidewalk and driveway connections, kind of mimic the existing street rhythm along Elliott, where the buildings in that area, their widths are generally between 9 and 15 meters, and the buildings proposed along that frontage are within that range at 10.3 meters wide. In addition, there is a 1.8 meter tall privacy fence that's noted in red on the screen there along the property line to provide additional privacy screening to adjacent parcels. And I just want to note that the presentation slides in the agenda package are just slightly different than the ones that are being viewed here. But the ones being viewed here and the site plan and elevations that were included in the package are the correct ones. There is just a small variation to some of the plans showing the recycling bins on the east side and the EV charging stalls on the west. So there's also provision for outdoor amenity areas directly accessed from each unit, shown in green as the grassed areas for each of the buildings to access from the side. And this building's design is a fairly contemporary modern design. It has been architecturally designed with colors, textures, and articulation of the building facades to create high visual interest throughout the building development. It is a transitionary space between lower density neighborhoods and downtown Summerland. So these types of detailing elements are critical to create inviting spaces that enhance the pedestrian experience, while also providing more diverse housing and density close to the central core of Summerland. The 2 units that front Elliott Street create visual interest and reflect surrounding residential uses through their separate accesses, covered patios, and windows facing the street. There is a clear connection to the entrance from the street, and the garages are provided under the building facing the interior driveway and not on the street. As such, the garages are not prominent along the street and are de-emphasized visually. Another key feature of design is that the 12 units are divided into 4 separate buildings, which limits the long expanses of wall and building mass for each building. So there's a bit of a breakup between the buildings. There's also variation along the building walls to provide a bit more variation in color, but also in slight projections throughout the building to create jogs of visual interest as your eye works down the building. There is, however, one design guideline where developments comprised of a number of buildings should avoid duplicate mirror image designs. And as you can see from the photo shown here, that the development does include a mirror image design, but it's not seen as being overly repetitious, given that the number of buildings that are provided. And it's also seen as providing a cohesive design between the buildings. And I feel that the separate buildings are more favorable to an overall design where you would have one large building essentially with a similar design. So for that reason, I find that it meets the intent of the guideline, which is essentially to avoid a monotonous pattern throughout the streetscape. In terms of access and parking, all the parking is accessed from the shared central driveway on site, and each of the townhouses is equipped with a 2-car garage with space for bicycle parking. There's an additional 2 visitor parking spaces at the rear of the property, in addition to 2 additional stalls with EV charging capability. And there's also 6 outdoor bicycle parking spaces between the buildings. And the driveway provides plenty of space for a 2-way vehicle movement without disrupting the streetscape. With respect to pedestrian connections, a new sidewalk will be required to be installed, as well as a crosswalk at the corner of 10519 Elliott to the existing sidewalk at Hunt Street. And these offsite improvements enhance connectivity and pedestrian safety in the area. Landscaping is provided throughout the site, with it largely being focused at the front of the development where it's most visible. A variety of grasses, shrubs, and trees are to be planted along Elliott Street, which softens the overall appearance of the buildings and creates an inviting atmosphere to the street. Landscaping for the remainder of the development includes trees planted around the periphery, and there are a wooden fence that also provides shade and privacy for neighboring properties. The areas where landscaping is unlikely to survive in between the buildings is decorated with river rocks. Overall, the proposed development satisfies the OCP design guidelines that strive to create visually interesting developments that enhance the character of a neighborhood. And as such, staff is recommending approval of the development permit subject to 2 conditions. The first being that landscape security in the amount of $46,200 be provided, and the second being that the lots be consolidated to create 1 legal parcel to facilitate the development. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne. I think that's your first presentation to council, isn't it?
It is. Thank you.
Yes, well done. Okay, questions? Councillor Van Elfen, maybe?
Maybe. Just, I was looking through here. Has this been circulated through to our fire chief? Any concerns?
Yes, it has gone through internal referral for comments, and I do not believe that there was any concerns from the fire department that were noted at that time, except for that, as per the fire limit area bylaw, any building that is needs to be sprinklered because it's over 2 stories in height, and that there is, along with this sprinkler system, will also require a central station monitored fire alarm system throughout the building, and there will be water modeling required as part of that process for the sprinkler connection, and it require a 45-meter path of travel from buildings with a sprinkler connection to the fire hydrant.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Did you want to bring forward? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The development permit application DP 21-005 for the construction of a 4 townhouse building to be constructed at 10519 and 10701 Elliott Street, legally described as Lot E, District Lot 3640, a Soyuz Division Yale, District Yale 1787, and Lot F, District Lot 3640, a Soyuz Division Yale, District Plan 1787, be approved subject to 1, receipt of a performance security for landscaping described in development permit attached to and forming part of the report from Planner 2 entitled Development Permit DP 21-005 and 10519 and 10701 Elliott Street dated August 9th, 2021, and 2 lot consolidation.
Thank you. You're getting much better at that. Yeah. Seconder? Councillor Barkwell, thank you.
Now that Councillor Van Elfen's done all the heavy lifting, I'll give it
You'll
a
second. Okay, further discussion on this? Councillor Van Elfen.
Just a comment, Madam Mayor. The ultimate in infilling. Wonderful use of these 2 pieces of property so close to our downtown core. That's my only comment.
I also like the fact that they have EV stations built right in, and bicycle parking and vehicle parking, and yeah, it's a well thought out design. Councillor Barkwell.
I just was wanted to address a comment about mirror images on buildings, and I have to agree fully with staff that in this particular case, it's another case where you don't want to be bound by strict adherence to rules and guidelines and policies. I think it makes it look like one building and doesn't detract at all in this particular case anyway.
Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor? And none opposed. Thank you. 9.4, site-specific zoning amendment for Z 21-003, 8108 Purvis Road.
All right. So an application has been received to amend the future land use designation at 8108 Pervez Road from low-density residential to low-density residential intensification, and for a site-specific text amendment, site-specific text amendment to the zoning bylaw to allow for the subdivision of 8108 Pervez Road and ultimately the construction of 2 front-to-back duplex units. The site-specific zoning amendment seeks to reduce the residential duplex housing minimum subdivision regulations with respect to minimum lot area and minimum lot width. Because the minimum lot area can only be varied through a rezoning due to it being a density requirement, the applicant is proposing a site-specific rezoning with a reduced lot area. In addition, the OCP designation amendment is required to allow for the additional density with the placement of the low-density intensification zone, with the placement of the low-density residential intensification designation. This application was presented to the Advisory Planning Commission on February 26, 2021. At this meeting, members of the commission were generally supportive of infill development on the site, but thought that the proponent should redesign the concept to work with the topography. Safety concerns were also raised about the parking and proximity to the corner, as the property is a corner lot. Lastly, members encouraged the proponent to consider a fourplex design as opposed to duplexes. Although it is not required for applicants to come back to the APC after receiving initial comment, the proponent in this case voluntarily requested to go back before the commission in an effort to gain support before proceeding to council. So the Advisory Planning Commission again considered the updated application at their meeting on March 26th, 2021. Comments from the APC included that the revised layout was an improvement and that the changes to the parking and overall design are more functional. Some members did reiterate previous concerns about that the lot would be better developed with a fourplex, particularly as discussions around the downtown plan are moving forward. Ultimately, however, the APC did recommend support of council on this application. The developer held a public information meeting for this proposal on June 7th, 2021. The meeting was held over Zoom and included a presentation from the developer's agent and allowed for participants to ask questions afterwards. Notification for this meeting was provided with a local newsletter ad, a development sign was posted at the site, and letters were delivered to all properties within a 60-meter radius of the proposed development lot. 4 attendees joined the meeting from the neighborhood. The property is currently designated as low-density residential under the Summerland's official community plan. The need to amend this designation is a result of the proposed density of the duplex development. The proposal calls for a density of 28 units per hectare. However, the low-density residential designation only allows for a maximum of 22 units per hectare. Amending the future land use designation of the property to low-density residential intensification allows for a density of up to 28 units per hectare and as such satisfies the required density for the development proposal. The subject property is located in a mature neighborhood mostly consistent of older single detached homes. The lot and other adjacent lots on Pervez Road are zoned RDH, residential duplex housing, and designated for future duplex and single-family infill development. The zone requires a minimum lot area of 850 square meters and a minimum lot width of 25 meters when subdividing for duplex housing. These specifications are generally geared towards promoting the development of side-by-side duplex units on lots zoned and sized accordingly. The subject property at 8108 Pervez Road is disadvantaged in several ways. First, despite the zoning designation to allow for duplex housing, the lot is a challenging size and shape. It is not large enough to meet the minimum subdivision regulations that would allow for 2 duplex buildings. However, siting 1 duplex on this lot would be an inefficient use of space given the area. Secondly, the property abuts Bloomfield Road in addition to Pervez, which would provide an adequate frontage for 2 side-by-side duplex units if fronting that road. However, the grade change between Bloomfield and the lot is too significant to facilitate a development like this. These traits had led the developer to pursue an alternative design, a front-to-back duplex. So the concept calls for an individual front-back duplex building to be sited on each of the newly created duplex zoned lots. 2 of the 4 units would front onto Pervez Road, while the other 2 units would be accessed from a rear yard via a path from the rear parking area. 2 separated parking areas contain all 8 required parking stalls for the proposed development. Proposed Lot A is proposed to have an access easement over proposed Lot B to have access to 2 of the 4 proposed parking stalls that are accessed off Bloomfield Road. Front-to-back duplex units tend to work best for double frontage lots. Ideally, each duplex unit should be oriented towards a street with a front door facing the street, thus avoiding the front of any home looking into the rear yard of an adjacent home. In the case of 8108 Pervez Road, it is impossible to achieve this. Although the 2 rear units will not front onto a street, it should be noted that they will not front onto the backyard of another lot either, but rather onto Highway 97. Policies and objectives within the official community plan generally direct growth to areas with existing services available that are close to amenities. This is an efficient and cost-effective way to approach growth and development for a municipality while helping to achieve density targets that support transit, cycling, and walking as viable alternatives to the private automobile. The official community plan also includes objectives and policies directed at diversifying housing options and providing more affordable options. These goals are in line with the 2017 Affordable Summerland report, which specifies the importance and current lack of housing diversity within the district of Summerland. Policies and objectives within the OCP. That's a double print, my bad. The proposed subdivision and duplex development at 8108 Pervez Road would help achieve these goals outlined in the official community plan for densification in service neighborhoods and diversity of housing types by adding 4 duplex housing units on a lot that currently has 1 single-family home. The property is located close to existing commercial amenities at the intersection of Prairie Valley Road and Highway 97 and is within walking distance of downtown, helping to promote less automobile dependence. In the addition of housing variety through small form duplex units and 4 additional residential units in the place of the current 1 single-family home, and in an area in close proximity to amenities and services, is seen as a way of encouraging gentle densification to help the district meet its housing supply needs. In addition, the applicant made changes to the proposed parking area configuration and unit access on the site to accommodate design concerns from the APC. For the above reasons, staff recommend that the rezoning application be provided first and second reading and proceed to a public hearing. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Any questions? Okay, again, I have one, and it has to do with parking. If we look at the overall site plan, it's just after the second photograph. Yes, that one. How many parking stalls are shown there at on Purvis Road?
Yeah, so through the chair, along Purvis Road, there will be 4 parking stalls.
Okay, and then an additional 4 in the back.
That's correct.
And is there parking along allowed along Bloomfield Road or Purvis Road? I'm just thinking for visitor parking.
So, I mean, here, well, there's Bloomfield. So you can see my car's parked down, the white one down there, for example. But I mean, I would say people probably will. It's not the widest road, but there's quite a few roads that people will use as additional parking areas that are probably narrower than this, so. Yeah.
Okay, and it doesn't look like there's a lot of, well, from what we can see, a lot of driveways where it would limit the access. Okay, thank you. That's all I had. Anyone else? Okay, could someone bring forward a motion, please? Let's give Councillor Van Elfen a break. Thank you, Councillor Carlson.
Oh, my goodness, I'm sorry. It was stuck. All right. I've got 2 different ones in two sections, yes? We voting twice? Yes, that's
I
correct.
think-
One is for
yeah.
zoning, one's Okay. for the OCP amendment.
I'll move the right, but we can do them both at the same time, though, right? Yes.
Okay.
Was that what your question was?
yeah, if you-
Yeah, just read them both at the same time.
I'll move that the official community plan amendment bylaw 2021-008 at 8108 Purvis Road be introduced and read a first and second time, that a public hearing be held on September 27th, 2021 to receive public feedback on OCP amendment bylaw 2021-008 at 8108 Purvis Road. And number 2, that the zoning bylaw amendment at 8108 Purvis Road, bylaw 2021-009 be introduced and read a first and second time, and that a public hearing be held on the 27th of September to receive public feedback on zoning bylaw amendment number 2021-009 at 8108 Purvis Road.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Van Elfen. Further discussion? Call the question. All in favor? And none opposed. Thank you. Zoning Amendment Bylaw Z 21-007 at 10518 Jubilee Road West.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So an application has been received for a zoning amendment for 10518 Jubilee Road West to change the zoning designation of the subject property from residential medium lot, so RSD1, to residential medium density, RMD. The RMD zone would allow for multiple units on the property in the form of townhouses, apartments, duplex, or cluster housing. The subject property is located on the periphery of downtown Summerland and is designated as medium-density residential in the official community plan. The current zoning designation, as I said, is RSD1, and changing the zoning designation to RMD is consistent with the OCP designation. The property is approximately 2,266 square meters and is currently contains a single detached dwelling. The property fronts 3 roads, Jubilee Road West, Spencer Avenue, and Dickinson Avenue. So the applicant is requesting to rezone the parcel from RSD1 to RMD to facilitate a multiple family development. So this proposal aligns with the OCP as well as the downtown neighborhood plan. And although there are renderings that are shown here depicting a 4-unit townhouse development, these are conceptual plans only at this stage, as the site and building design will be reviewed as part of the development permit if the zoning amendment moves forward. The Advisory Planning Commission reviewed this proposal on May 28th and recommended that the rezoning be supported by council. Although there were some concerns over height in general, the general consensus was that this proposal aligns with future growth anticipated in the area. There was also a developer-directed public information meeting that was held electronically on July 29th. However, no members of the public attended, and there's been no comments received from the public to date on this application. This parcel is located within the urban growth area for Summerland. The urban growth area is meant to support broad community goals by directing growth to areas with servicing while avoiding loss of farmland and environmentally sensitive areas. The urban growth area is where intensification of land uses are meant to occur over time and where infill is encouraged. This rezoning would enable intensification of the residential use by allowing more residential units to be built on the site. It also allows for more compact development to occur very close to the downtown core and in an area with servicing and pedestrian connectivity available. Allowing additional units near the downtown is seen as supporting the vibrancy of the downtown, as more residents are within walking distance to shops, parks, and amenities. The current zoning of RSD1 only allows for one principal dwelling unit, which is a lesser density than what is supported under the medium density residential OCP designation. The medium density residential designation seeks to provide a range of housing types and choices and supports a density range of 23 to 60 units per hectare. So on this parcel, that equates to 2 to 5 units based on the parcel size. And as I noted earlier, the applicant is intending to build a 4-unit townhouse development. This parcel is also included within the scope of the downtown plan, and one of the key focuses of this plan is to consider additional density close to the downtown. If this rezoning occurs, the multiple family development permit area will apply, as it automatically applies to all multiple family uses, and the form, siting, and character of the proposed development will be evaluated in relation to the design guidelines. This is in an area of transition where both sides of Spencer Avenue are currently single detached dwellings. As such, the site design elements such as screening will be important elements to lessen impacts to adjacent lands moving forward. However, as I previously mentioned, the plans at this stage are conceptual, and the application for consideration today is for the zoning amendment, not for the form and character of the specific plans. If the rezoning is to move forward, then the development permit application will be brought back to council for consideration. This proposal is seen to directly align with the OCP, and as such, it is staff's recommendation to provide first and second reading of the zoning amendment bylaw and schedule a public hearing for September 27th. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Questions? Councillor Holmes.
Yeah, thank you. All those lots between Dixon and Spencer are, they take both roads, right? They're in between both roads. And I'm just wondering if is there kind of an accepted what's the front and what's the back for those lots? And if so, presumably this development will conform to that? Or is it just kind of haphazard?
So through the chair, this one being at the end, in the zoning bylaw, the front is the shortest setback or shortest property line that abuts a street. So this one actually fronts 3 streets. So technically the front is on Jubilee for this parcel. You'd have to evaluate each of the other parcels that run down the street to determine which one is the shorter side.
So to follow up, so this development, those townhouses will face Jubilee? Or will they face Dixon or Spencer? I got the impression from the renderings that the side will be Jubilee.
Yeah, so the access point will be from Dixon Avenue.
Okay. So that'll be their front yard. Dixon will be their front yard.
Technically not according to the zoning bylaw, but for functionality, it will function like the front.
Okay.
Yes.
And if I remember correctly, most of the houses along those streets, they front Spencer. So I'm just wondering if that's, and people's backyards back onto Dixon. I think that's how most of the houses are along there. I'm just wondering, maybe that's not a problem. It's kind of a strange configuration anyway, I know. So.
It could be that, given that Joanne has told us that those are renderings only and not necessarily exactly what the form and siting will be, maybe it will be switched around from what we're hearing. But tonight we're talking about the amendments, so I guess that we can ask those questions or hear those answers at the public hearing, if we decide to proceed to that. Councillor Patton?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just for clarity, and this is probably more for our Director of Development Services, what is our policy on double fronting lots?
Yeah, I don't think we have anything specific. Sorry, through the chair to Councillor Patton. I don't think we have anything specific. Like if it was equal sizes for front yard on either end, in this case for Spencer and Dixon, which one would be the front yard? Like Joanna's correctly indicated, in our zoning bylaw, the front yard is determined as the minimum width distance. If you had a corner parcel lot, for example, that would be nominated as the front yard. So we are aware that the applicant is proposing to orientate the building towards Dixon, but that will be discussed in the form and character evaluation with the development permit at the next stage. But to answer your question there, Councillor Patton, we don't have anything really specific within our zoning bylaw that indicates to us how to interpret the front or rear when it's equal, if that makes sense.
It does, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, could I ask someone to bring forward the resolutions, please? Councillor Van Elfen.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The zoning bylaw amendment 10518 Jubilee Road West bylaw number 2021-031 be read a first and second time, and that the public hearing be held on September 27th, 2021 to receive public feedback on zoning bylaw amendment 10518 Jubilee Road West bylaw number 2021-031.
Thank you. Seconder? Councillor Barkwell, thank you. Further discussion? Councillor Van Elfen.
Just again, excellent location.
Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor? Any opposed? Carries unanimously. Thank you, Joanne and Alex. On to item 12, notice of motion. 12.1, notice of motion brought forth from the July 19th special council meeting. And I will pass the floor over to Councillor Barkwell.
As a marina is being proposed that would be anchored at the Oasis waterfront development, and that the current zoning WZ3 of the water in this area would permit a marina, and that the current zoning would only require a referral to the provincial government to allow for a marina use. And further that, rezoning of the water would require a public hearing, which would allow council to hear from the public concerning the merits of the proposal. Be it resolved that staff prepare a draft rezoning amendment and accompanying report for the August 23rd, 2021 regular council meeting to rezone the water from WZ3 to WZ1. And that's my motion. Anybody second
Seconder?
that?
Councillor Holmes? Thank you. Would you like to carry on now, Councillor Barkwell?
Not much to add, Madam Mayor. You know, I think the motion is rather self-explanatory.
Okay, so you don't want to speak any further at this time?
Not at this time, thank you.
Okay, so the floor is open for discussion from council. Councillor Holmes.
Yeah, I'd like to thank Councillor Barkwell for bringing this forward. I think it's a good approach. Certainly, there's a lot of interest in the community, and I think people are frustrated that they don't seem to have an opportunity to express their thoughts either for or against this sort of development because it's a provincial matter. And I think this is a way to allow them to be able to tell the community and tell us and everybody what they think. And it would allow us to gauge the support of it. So I support the motion. Thanks.
I have a question, not sure if it's for Brad or for Graham. A couple of questions. Was the marina part of the original proposal for Oasis development?
Oh, thank you, Madam Mayor. We did some digging on that. I haven't had a chance to connect with Brad personally on this yet, but no, it doesn't appear there is any specific connection from the original development proposal to a marina concept. Rather, that has come more recently.
Okay, so probably negates my second question, but maybe I'll ask it anyways. With that being the case, does that release any potential legal liability from allowing that, having that development get underway and then saying, oh, by the way, you can't have a marina. So because it wasn't kind of part and parcel with this first application, with a development application, does that resolve us from any legal liability?
Thank you for the question, Madam Mayor. I would say, in theory, it could. However, I would be sort of more refrain from theorizing on the legal risk at this point, other than to say, you know, at the end of the day, anyone could pursue legal action really on anything, and it would be incumbent upon a party that was proceeding in legal action to another party to be able to prove their case. But I think in concept, what you're raising has the potential to reduce some of that liability.
Good, thank you. Councillor Van Elfen and then Councillor Holmes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Maybe a question through to our Director of Planning. I believe this was a 50 slip marina. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's correct. About that amount, maybe a little bit less, 40 something, I believe.
So, and do we know if these were going to be public moorage or just Oasis moorage, or like, that's where I'm having some difficulties at this point in time. I mean, if it's public moorage, last numbers I heard, I believe we're at a 2-year waiting list at our local yacht club. You know, these are just some questions I'd like some answers on.
Sure, through the chair. The number of luxury condos that the Oasis project has as part of their development proposal with those two
Excuse
towers.
me just a sec. Could I ask you to turn your mic off? There's that. Yes, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, so the number of units that are within those two towers facing the full-time residential condos is 22. And our preliminary discussions with the proponent would be that they would try to attach one slip per unit to try to market the unit. So there would be a remainer that would be available to the public.
Did you just want to add to that response? And then I'll go back to you, Councillor Van Olfen.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to augment what our Director of Development Services has indicated, there is actually a website that's been set up, or oasismarinadevelopments.com, and it does indicate that it is a 50-slip marina that's being proposed, as well as an additional day dock to be constructed for public use to the north of the marina.
Another question?
I was just curious if conversations with Oasis, has there been any talk about partnering with the local yacht club?
That is something that we haven't specifically indicated. I believe early on in our conversations, when they first approached us at the staff level, they did indicate, though, they also recognized the wait times of the existing marina use in front of the resort currently, and it being a concern for the community.
Councillor Holmes.
Yeah, just I guess going back to your question, Madam Mayor, I think, speaking, I don't know about legally, but certainly ethically, that when this development first came to us, there was never any mention of a marina being built. And if that was always their intention to build the marina, my first question is, why didn't you tell us at the time? And if it's because it's a new idea, well, then it's a new idea. It's completely, we're starting at scratch here. But if it was always their intention, then why did they hide it from us then? Yeah, I think those are fair questions, and I would certainly like to hear the answers from them.
Councillor Barkwell?
Yeah, I'm a little puzzled about the comment about marketing a unit with a marina, because as Councillor Holmes says, there was no marina to market with the units. And my understanding is that they've been spoken for a long time before even the marina idea came forward. So it's, I don't know, but we'll hear from people and maybe get some of these questions answered when we go to a public hearing process. And that's what it's all about.
I'm just going to go to Councillor Traynor first, and then to you, Councillor Van Olfen.
I'm just looking at their the developer's website right now, and they talk here about it being open to the public, and that there was concerns about parking, and that they have addressed that, and there's going to be parking for everyone. But we haven't seen any of those designs yet. Would that be something that that would come to council? Because if it is open to the public, then parking would be an issue down there.
If I may, Madam Mayor, and through the mayor. So just so I'm clear, Councillor Traynor, are you talking about the marina proposal in particular, or the broader resort development? Because there is commercial access for that as well.
Yes, sorry, the marina.
Yeah, the marina use does require parking in accordance with our zoning bylaw. That was still something to be proven out with the developer. Still, we provided that commentary back to them with initial concepts that they provided us. This wasn't planned to come before council because, like Councillor Barkwell's motion indicates, that the water use zone already allows for a marina use, unless there was going to be a requirement for variance, for example, for parking. But in the event that we are going to a public hearing, I think it would be wise for the proponent to show us how they plan to address parking.
Okay, Councillor Van Elfen. Okay. Any further discussion? Councillor Barkwell.
I guess I could add that I think most of us were on council when this water zoning came in, and I think it was put in with a pretty broad brush and not a lot of consideration. I mean, it's WZ3 all the way in front of Rotary Beach and Peach Orchard Beach, and obviously we wouldn't want marinas in front of Rotary Beach or Peach Orchard Beach. So it does require the sort of thought and consideration that it wasn't given before, and I take a little responsibility for that.
Okay. So I will call the question. All in favor? Any opposed? That carries unanimously. Thank you, Councillor Barkwell. I just have one question of you, Brad. So the report for the August 23rd meeting, that's our next meeting, is that doable? I'm sorry, I should have asked you that before we voted.
Yeah, thank you for the question. I was hopeful that question would come up actually to staff. It is a bit tight, to be honest. We are actually, that's the reason I did ask Joanne Peachy to stick around to hear the discussion. I've asked her to prepare or start drafting an amendment bylaw to bring back for our next meeting. However, I do want to advise council that in order for us to meet that date, it would require us to skip the Advisory Planning Commission. Normally for any zoning bylaw amendments that are being considered for first reading, we bring forward to the Advisory Planning Commission prior to August 23rd. So we will be having to do that in order to make that date.
Councillor Barkwell?
Yeah, I put that date in the motion because I had the assistance of the planning staff in writing it, and that was their suggestion. I don't want to rush things, and there doesn't appear to be any need to rush things. So I would like to put forward a second motion amending the previous one, and if we can get unanimous approval, I suppose that's permitted under the procedures to amend the motion to say that the report concerning the water zone rezoning be provided when staff are able to, unless we want, but not before the end of December, but by at least December 31st.
Just a question of process, Deputy Corporate Officer. Is that the way to do that, or should we just rescind and then start a brand new? What's the best way to do that?
You can pass or put forward a motion to amend the one that was just adopted.
Okay, so thank you, Councillor Barkwell. Seconded by Councillor Van Elfen. Is there any discussion on this? All in favor? Great. And I apologize, Brad. I should have asked ahead of time. Good. Okay, good. Thank you, Council. Now on to correspondence. So we're at 13.1. There are 5 items of correspondence, including Councillor Holmes's RDOS report of July 22nd. Anything that anyone would like to bring forward? All right. I'm just noticing something I wanted to bring forward, but I'm not prepared, so I won't do anything there. So could I have someone bring forward a motion to receive the correspondence for information? Councillor Van Elfen, seconder. Councillor Traynor, all in favor? And committee and commission minutes from the Community Climate Action Advisory Committee of June the 8th. Councillor Barkwell, you sit on that. It all looks good?
This was the one meeting I missed.
Oh, you attended in his stead? No.
I did not, but I have a question once we figure that out.
Okay. If there wasn't anyone in attendance, then I don't, we'll go with what's in the minutes. Do you want to go ahead with your question, Councillor Carlson?
Thank you. Question for CAO. Now that Tammy Rothery has left the district, I'm just wondering who will be filling in her position on that committee while we fill her position in the district.
Thank you, Councillor Carlson. So this has come across my mind as well, and so I reached out to actually one of the councillors around the table here, Councillor Barkwell, who's also on the Climate Action Advisory Committee, to get an idea in terms of current activities and if there's anything pressing. And we are thinking that it'll probably be about a 2-month sort of period before the Climate Action Committee will be able to meet once again. In talking to Tammy before she left, it had been kind of like about a 6-week period prior before meeting. So they had recently just had a meeting. And we are currently, Marnie Manders, our HR consultant, and myself are currently working on posting that position quickly. And so we're hoping that we won't miss too much time. So I guess a long-winded way of saying nobody in the immediate term will be taking Tammy's place in that committee. It'll be a slight pause in some of the work of that committee while we await the hiring of the more permanent position who will take the reins on that.
Okay, good question. Okay, so could someone bring forward to receiving the committee minutes? Councillor Van Elfen and Carlson, all in favor? Good. And now on to councillor reports. Let's start tonight with Councillor Patton.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have nothing to report. Thank you.
Okay, last time I have you called first. I'm just kidding. Councillor Traynor.
I did attend our RDOS meeting, which was last Thursday, and I will be forwarding a report from that meeting to council in the next day or two.
Thank you. Councillor Van Elfen.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Not a whole lot to report, just grateful for the rain and that the pop-up clinics at the farmers market, there's one in Penticton and the one in Summerland, have been used a lot. And talking to one of the health nurses, a good majority are first timers. So it is definitely is a great thing to see, Madam Mayor, and it'll be there for quite a while. Thank you.
Good, thank you for that. Councillor Holmes.
Thank you. So on July 28th, I attended the Downtown Plan Task Force meeting. The task force was introduced to the team from Urban Systems who won the contract to do the actual plan. And so that was quite exciting. And another thing that came up in that task force was they're talking about whether they'd be able to meet in person or not. And I guess that probably applies to a lot of our committees, and maybe that is something that our CIO can discuss with staff and come back to us with options. I don't know if other committees are asking to be able to meet in person, but if we have a startup for ourselves, maybe we should have some sort of plan for committees moving forward as well. So on July 27th, as the mayor mentioned, the EV station ribbon cutting, I thought that was an excellent event. It was really great to see all the dealers out there. It really showed you the breadth of electric vehicles that are available. And I've got my eye on purchasing that electric Ford Mustang. It was pretty cool. On July 13th, I attended the Arts Council board meeting for the mayor. There was a discussion at the meeting on our request for input on what to name after George Riga. The discussion really was, they just discussed more about what they didn't want to name after him rather than what they did. but I understand they'll be discussing again further, and they will be coming back to us with feedback fairly soon, I presume. And that's it. Thank you. See you at the George Riga Festival or the Riga Festival events.
Thank you, Councillor Holmes. I just want to go to Deputy Corporate Officer to speak about the committee in-person kind of discussions that are coming up.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We're anticipating at the next council meeting bringing forward an item for council's consideration to amend the council's procedures bylaw that we talked about a few meetings ago, just to formally incorporate electronic meetings or hybrid meetings going forward now that the emergency order has been rescinded. As part of that report and discussion, we were planning to include the return to public attendance at both council meetings and committee meetings. Just noting that we are watching quite closely what is occurring in the central Okanagan right now with the Delta variant and the effects on public meetings. And what we initially thought we were proposing may change based on that, but we're just trying to follow what's happening closely. They did have more regional restrictions put in place that had impacts on meetings. You still can have meetings, but you have to remain seated the whole time, which may be okay for committee meetings and council meetings, but for anything like a public hearing, it could be a little bit more difficult to have in-person attendance. So we are watching that, and we'll be reporting back to council at the next meeting.
Thank you. Councillor Carlson.
For once, I get to report the same things as Councillor Holmes, except I didn't attend the Arts Council meeting, but I did go to the EV opening ceremony and went to that downtown plan meeting, which was really good. And I too am looking forward to Riga Festival. It's going to be a big week, lots of really nice events planned. And I think they've done a very good job of advertising this year as well. So I hope people will participate.
Councillor Barkwell.
I can only report that it's been hot, and other than that, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Hot for your horses too, I guess, hey?
It's funny, I noted to someone the other day that they have a shelter, and they were standing out there and they weren't underneath the shelter, and it was hot.
Wow. Well, you know, horses are dumb. I don't know how intelligent horses are, but.
That's exactly what I said.
Okay. Second of tonight's comment opportunity for public and/or the media. Do we have anyone that wishes to speak? No?
There's no one on the line.
Okay. So I'll ask for adjournment, please. Councillor Traynor, Councillor Van Elfen, all in favor?